Are you guys ready to take your Mavic Air footage to the next level? We're going to be taking a look today at the Polar Pro Cinema Series Vivid Collection ND filters for the Mavic Air. Stay tuned. I actually had these ND filters for a little while now when they first came out, and the problem was I have just not had a chance to actually get them on the Mavic Air and fly them and get some test footage. We're going to go ahead and get that done finally, but what I did was I did purchase these ND filters online from Polar Pro website. I'm going to put the link in the description for these ND filters, and I actually got them reasonably quick. At the time I purchased these, they were actually hard to find. They weren't in stock in a lot of places yet, but when I purchased them from Polar Pro, they had them in stock and they mailed them to me rather quickly. Take a look at the packaging here. You'll see the Polar Pro Vivid Collection Cinema Series. This is the 3-pack. It comes with the ND4, the ND8, and the ND16, and they are all polarized ND filters. If you don't know what an ND filter is, let me briefly explain. So basically, it is a dark lens that makes your image darker so that you can lower your shutter speed so you can capture cinematic type footage, and you actually get what's called motion blur. And we're going to show some examples of that here. You can see when we pause the footage, the Jeep, to pay close attention to the Jeep, you can see that there's blurriness around the Jeep. It's not completely clear. It's not in focus completely. That is what we're looking for with the cinematic footage with the motion blur. Take a look at the truck now. You can see when we pause the footage, it's completely in focus. It's completely clear. There's no motion blur. It's a very unnatural look to the eye. And when the footage is not paused and you actually see the truck driving, it just looks unnatural. It just doesn't look right. All right, let's go ahead and dive into this package here. So you can see on the back, you get the Cinema Series production grade multi-coated glass for pilots who demand the best optics. Come with ND4, ND8, ND16, and it tells you what the stops are, and it tells you what is for. So the ND4 is good for partly cloudy days. The ND8 is great for mostly sunny, and the ND16 is for your very bright and sunny filming location. I just decided to just get the 3-pack as these are kind of expensive, but I think the 3-pack for me personally is going to be just what I need. And you can see that all the features of the Cinema Series here are checked. You can see that. And so we also have the airframe construction. The only thing we don't have checked is the standard HD glass. So what the polarized lenses are actually going to do is actually reduce glare. So if you're filming water or some kind of a bright, metallic building, this is going to be ideal for that. Take a look and see what you get in the package here. So you get a nice cleaning cloth, Polar Pro, to clean your lenses. You get a nice little Polar Pro sticker here. You get some instructions. It tells you how to install, and it also tells you what the filters are good for. And note that the Mavic Air filters will not fit on the Mavic Pro or the Platinum, obviously. Cameras are two different sizes. Very, very nice case they give you here, and you can see that it's in foam. It looks very, very nice. It's like a very secure fit here. Oh yeah, very secure fit. Now you can see the 3 different filters, and you can actually see, at least I can see that this is the lighter one, this is the middle, and this is the darkest. So you can actually see through the foam which one makes it dark and which one's not. But it's a very nice case. I do like the case. I like that it's compact. This can definitely fit in my Mavic Air carrying case.
That was easy.
Take a look at the Mavic Air. You'll see right here on the gimbal, on the camera, right there is actually a threaded bezel. So in order to put these ND filters on, we're going to have to unscrew that cover. Now the best way that I think to do this is to put the Mavic Air on its back. You don't want to damage the gimbal. You're going to turn the camera straight up, and we're going to try to kind of hold the gimbal with our 2 fingers. Now just take your time and make sure when you start twisting, your fingers don't go too far down, because then you won't be able to take off the ring. And it unscrews just like that, counterclockwise. And this is just a bezel. You can see right here, there's no lens, there's nothing covering the actual camera itself. It's literally just a bezel. So now that you have that off, you're ready to put on your Polar Pro or whatever type of ND filter you chose. And we're going to go ahead and screw on the ND4 filter here, all the way on the right. This is the lightest of the 3 filters. You can see, you can actually see through it pretty well. It's got nice threads, nice aluminum construction, and they're all labeled. Just line it up, and when you're screwing it on, if you have the polarized versions like I do, you have to screw it in with the bottom twist versus the top, because there is a top twist that actually you turn to focus in on your polarized lens. And as you can see, the bezel fits in the Polar Pro case just like that. It keeps it secure. That way you don't end up losing that. It is also worth noting that the DJI Mavic Air Stock Gimbal Protector Cover fits right over top the Polar Pro ND filters installed, so you don't have to worry about taking it on and off each time that you have your ND filter on. Now let's go ahead and talk about the shutter speed rule. What you need to set up in your settings of your camera in order to get that motion blur, the perfect amount of motion blur to get the best cinematic footage. Because you don't want to have too much motion blur, because that's not going to look good either. So the shutter speed rule is this right here. So basically it is double your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 4K at 30 frames per second, then you want to set your shutter speed at 60, or what they say 1/60. In the DJI app, it's just going to say 60. Take a look now in the DJI app. You see now with the ND filter off, 60 shutter speed is way overexposed. It's too bright to use. I actually have to raise the shutter speed to almost 3200 to even get a decent looking image. And as you can see, the car just rode by and there's no motion blur. Now let's take a look with the ND filter on. You can see that it's got a dark shadow. Now when we lower the shutter speed down to double the frame rate, which is 60, you can see now that it's brightened up. And now watch as the car rides by. We now have the motion blur. Now we're going to go ahead and adjust the polarization of the lens by twisting the lens on the very top. You see the clouds there? Now they were blue and now they've gone to like a white. If we go ahead and turn the lens, we can go ahead and focus in and get the polarization of where we want. See how we can see details in the clouds now? That's about where you want it. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the other settings on the camera to get that nice cinematic footage. So I have my ISO set all the way down to 100, and I have my white balance set to sunny. You don't want to ever set your white balance to auto, because when the light changes, your picture will look different and it will actually change with the light, and you don't want that to ruin your footage. So in selecting your white balance, go off what kind of day it is. Is it cloudy? Then set it to cloudy. If it's sunny, set it to sunny.